Good evening, you're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, we head to Scunthorpe to see how disabled athletes are taking part in sport.
Just seeing the confidence and the happy smiley faces from people taking part.
And we hit the streets to find out the meaning of another local word.
I don't know, mate. You have to tell us. Go on.
And joining me in the studio is Dave Evertson, here to talk about his compilation folk album. Welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Hugh Riches. First of all, it's over to Richard Morris for the news roundup.
Hello there. Anti-fracking campaigners have released a video that they claim shows police using violence during an arrest at their protest site near Walkington. The protesters have been camped out by Crawberry Hill since June, but the council has now given them notice to move on. They claim they're protecting the site against fracking, although exploration company Rathlin Energy says they have no intention to do so. Protesters released a video on YouTube which they say shows officers using heavy-handed tactics, but Humberside Police say they've received no official complaints.
Give us space.
All you know is violence. You think you've got a monopoly on violence?
You know what? This is all
all you know is violence, man. What are you doing? We are non-violent direct action. We don't do violence.
Under the new train operator of East Coast Rail, Intercity Railways, passengers can expect faster journey times. That's according to the Department for Transport, who have signed the agreement, which is a merger between Stagecoach and Virgin. Among a whole host of new services announced today, the key one for our region is more travel from Lincoln to London, with more seats and more carriages. The Transport Secretary, Patrick McLaughlin, has said this is a fantastic deal for the British taxpayer, giving outstanding value for money. The franchise will start in March, where a website and smartphone apps for the service and routes available can be booked from. Scunthorpe United's new stadium should be completed by June 2016. That's according to Peter Swan, the club chairman, who has been working to submit a planning application for a mixed-use sport and leisure development, including a 12,000 capacity stadium for the club at Lincolnshire Lakes. The plans include a food store and a hotel, improved road facilities and health club.
The stadium design has moved on hugely. If you look at the Brighton Amex Stadium, which is out in the middle of nowhere, costs 40 million, has hotels, office space and residents. We need that. We need commercial partners, we need hotels, we need gymnasiums, we need all these businesses which bring in an income, takes the pressure off that match day income. So it means if the fans, you know, if we're not quite doing it on the field, then the fans' impact on not coming through the door isn't as great on the company.
That's all from me. Bye for now.
Thank you, Richard. Local authorities around the country run many different projects to encourage disabled people to get out and interact with their local community. One project in Scunthorpe has gained national recognition for the work it does in helping disabled adults into sports. Dave Nunn found out more.
A project aimed at disabled adults taking part in sporting activities in North Lincolnshire is riding a tide of popularity.
Yeah, so Do Something Different is a project for adults with disabilities, so anybody aged 16 plus with learning and physical disability. It provides different physical activity and health opportunities, different sessions, so such as rebound therapy, archery, multi-sports.
Disabled people can often feel isolated and left out of the local community, and the Do Something Different project aims to give disabled adults confidence while building up their sporting skills.
There's lots of benefits, so you can see from people when they first start in the difference that it makes, like after they've been attending for a while, so such as confidence and skills, their listening skills and ability to follow rules as well.
The project has been a huge success in North Lincolnshire, with the project gaining the national recognition it deserves.
Yeah, it's great that it's been nationally recognised by UK Active. It's just an opportunity to showcase the different opportunities that are available in North Lincolnshire.
The project benefits everyone. Not only does it provide social opportunities for the users, it also provides a great sense of satisfaction for the sports teachers and event organisers involved in the project.
It's brilliant, obviously, just seeing the confidence and the happy smiley faces from people taking part.
As the Do Something Different project continues to gain recognition and change people's lives, it's seen as a local success story.
You're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, it's back on the streets to discover another phrase in What You Say.
I don't know, mate. You'll have to tell us. Go on.
And Dan Kemp will bring you all the sports news. My next guest will be well known to those of you who've keenly followed the local folk music circuit. Dave Evertson and his wife Julie retired from singing in 2012 after a career spanning 40 years. In that time, they've amassed a fair amount of recordings. To help raise funds for charity, the couple have put together a compilation CD called Missing Links, that's Lincs, and Dave is here with me. Dave, many thanks for joining me.
Hello, Hugh.
You've got 40 years worth of music on this one album. How did you select the pieces?
Oh, well, in the first instance, I wanted something that would appeal to Lincolnshire and Grimsby people. So I chose songs that were about Lincolnshire, or Cleethorpes, Hubberston, Grimsby, that sort of thing. We already had previous albums from which I could select them, so yeah, it wasn't too difficult a job to do.
And is Lincolnshire, is that a rich source of folk tradition and folk music?
Well, very much so. I mean, going right back to the days of Cecil Sharp and other collectors who came to Lincolnshire to collect folk song from the locals here.
The days of Cecil Sharp sounds like a folk song in its own right. Somebody should write that.
It should be.
And I take it it's in the great tradition of English folk music. Of course, they tend to be very narrative, very storytelling songs.
Yes, they do. Yeah, and I think that tradition has continued since the folk revival of the 1950s and 60s, when local people and friends of mine now, like John Connolly and Bill Meek, first started having a go at creating their own folk songs, and very successfully too.
And just what's the sound? I mean, we're all familiar with folk music, but what's the sound here? Is it it's acoustic instruments? It's unplugged?
It's mostly unplugged. Yes, yes.
And it's you and your wife who've been singing together for such a long time. Is this what's happened here? Did the music create the romance, or did the romance create the music? What was the order of events?
We were both members of a local folk club at the Black Swan, which is no longer there. I'm causing a few tears already. I'm expecting down Victoria Street, and we got together on a bus trip out to a festival which the club put on, and we very soon got married after that. 1972 it was, and
still newlyweds.
I wish.
And has it helped? I mean, to have a partnership like that is a working professional partnership as well. And
yeah.
it's I mean, surely there must occasionally have been creative tensions, musical differences.
Well, not really. Not as long as I did as I was told. No, we seemed to be able to harmonise naturally, which helped. And Julie's quite good at learning lyrics, you know, once she's into a song. And no, I think in practical terms, because we were always together, we didn't have to make special arrangements for a rehearsal. We just say, well, let's have half an hour, practice these songs, and then I'll do the washing up sort of thing.
Very well, artistic and domestic. Missing Links is the name of the album.
Yeah.
What prompted you to record that now and to release that now?
Right. Well, a friend of mine and a local fundraiser called Barry Howells, he suggested we do something musical in support of St Andrew's Hospice, which we were very happy to do, because the hospice are doing such a great job, and they're now in the middle of an expansion which requires further finance, and they're looking for about £2 million. Now, any one project is not going to fulfil that need, but lots of people across the Grimsby area are doing their little bits, and we thought, well, perhaps we could aim to raise some money by putting out a CD of songs and make it appeal to Lincolnshire people. And the idea of calling it Missing Links just popped up in that it evokes, you know, perhaps somebody who doesn't live in the area, exile, if you like, shedding a few tears for Lincolnshire when they hear some of the songs. But some of the songs are also funny, and there's a mixture of shades in there.
Just better mention where the album is available.
Right. Okay.
It's you can get it at St Andrew's Hospice on Peaks Lane, P&L Interiors on Seaview Street,
P&L, yes.
Grimsby Model Centre on Lord Street, Robert Marshall's Opticians on Victoria Street, and the Grimsby Folk Club at the Spider's Web on Sundays. And you've got some event you're doing at Morrison's Supermarket.
Yes, well, on a week on Friday, on the 19th of December, we'll be at Morrison's manning the St Andrew's Hospice stall, Barry and I, and we'll be trying to sell as many of the copies as possible of these CDs. By the way, they're £5 each, and all the proceeds are going to St Andrew's Hospice.
And that's on the 19th of
December.
At Morrison's. Dave, thank you very much. Sorry we couldn't mention the writing as well,
That's
but thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for asking me.
For many, fast broadband has become a necessity, but it can still be hard to reach in more rural areas of Yorkshire and Lincolnshire. Fast broadband internet is now making its way into the village of Ryby, just outside Grimsby, achieving speeds of 6 to 8 meg. It's faster than the signal many of the villagers can currently receive. And access is available through the church. Richard Morris went along to find out more.
A church in Ryby in Lincolnshire is being brought into the 21st century by the installation of broadband in their building. The church also recently received funding for updating their kitchen and toilet facilities, meaning that once again the building is becoming the hub of the community.
West Lindsey were interested in putting in a Wi-Fi or broadband for every village in the West Lindsey district. And so he said, would we be interested? So I said, yes, that sounded like an excellent idea. And they were putting it into village halls, that type of thing. But Ryby doesn't have a public building other than the church. And so I said, could we have it in the church? And they said, yes, they could. And this has taken about 2 years, I think, to happen. And we eventually got it put in a couple of months ago. It's in its infancy, and it's something that we want to encourage the village to use. They can come into the building and access the Wi-Fi on a day when the church is open and download whatever they like.
Anyone using the building can connect to church Wi-Fi, an open access wireless network which people can use on their phones, laptops and tablets. And the speeds are better than those currently received by the residents of Ryby. Sally's hoping that in the new year the Wi-Fi will bring more people into the building.
After the new year, we're hoping that we would open once a month on a Wednesday. The church is open on a Wednesday anyway, and you can come in and have a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or a bit of a chat with maybe other villagers, and you can access your Wi-Fi and download whatever you like.
Now, to tell us more about what's happening in the world of local politics, I'm with James Dunn.
Hello, Hugh.
James, what's happening in the world of local politics?
Well, over the next week, we've got the two big ones in northern Lincolnshire. So, literally tomorrow night, we've got North Lincolnshire Council's... Sorry, that's tomorrow afternoon. We've got North Lincolnshire Council's full council meeting. So I've had the pleasure of reading this delightful piece in the run-up. It's quite a read.
That's the agenda for the meeting?
In the beginning.
Right.
So
that's serious, is it?
No, I mean, there's not too much going on, but they're talking about their council tax base. So they'll be talking about the amount of money they can raise through council tax, and when they define how much that total is, it will mean that then the government can use that to decide what kind of grant they're getting. I mean, there's nothing too interesting about it, to be honest, nothing too controversial. I imagine they'll be crossing some T's and dotting some I's.
Well,
one quite interesting thing is that they've been talking about non-domestic rates, and that's what they charge businesses. So there's been a few developments with the power stations, the M&S development in northern Lincolnshire recently, so they're going to be getting some more money through business rates from that. But one interesting thing is they're a little bit concerned about the non-domestic rates base because of the 5 gas-powered power stations they have in northern Lincolnshire, because some in other areas of the country have been getting big tax cuts from the government because of they've complained about profitability. So, I mean, they'll be discussing that, but there's not too controversial. But, I mean, that's just sort of one of the interesting things that came out of this.
Well, it's always interesting when they're working out how much money they're going to take away from us.
Money is always the interesting part. I mean, next week, that's on December the 16th, 7 p.m, North East Lincolnshire Council are having their full council meeting. They're discussing a number of things. One of them will be firefighter strikes, although there's nothing too local about it. It's just sort of condemning actions between the government and because this ongoing feud they've got over pay and retirement
The local
age.
council needs to have some response, though, doesn't it? Some
No,
reaction.
yeah, I totally understand that, although I'm not sure quite how much they can do about that, even with the best intentions in the world. One thing they'll also be talking about is supporting and lobbying for a direct train service from Cleethorpes to London via Doncaster. So, I mean, there's quite a lot going on. You probably would have heard in local news about a new train company operating that franchise. What North East Lincolnshire Council may or may not decide to do is to set up essentially a group which will lobby to have that service. So
well, that could be fascinating because, as I may have mentioned once or twice before, it's a very, very slow train between Cleethorpes and Doncaster at the moment.
I think we're all aware of that, although the problem is even if that was to, you know, even if they were to succeed on that, I'm not entirely sure if they'd be able to speed up that service because it would still be down to the franchise. But I suppose the direct service to London would be a benefit to anyone. The next thing really I've got is the whole planning committee who are meeting at 2 p.m. on the 16th of December.
This is Hull City Council.
That's Hull City Council. That's at the Guildhall. I mean, planning is always an emotive issue because whether it's something that you want to build or whether it's something that could be built near you, it's something that always interests people. I mean, 2 things I can think of initially on the agenda: new 2-storey buildings at Eastfield Primary, that's Anlaby Road, another 2-storey school, Francis Askew Primary, that's on North Road, Kingston upon Hull. So whether you live near there or whether you've got children going to those schools, it will affect you. But I suppose what I would say every week is that if you do want to access these documents, they're all on the council's websites. Whatever your corresponding local authority is, they're public documents. They're there for you to look at if you'd like to.
And it's useful to look at those public documents because if it is going to be a successful democracy, you need to know what the people who are representing you are doing.
Yeah, and it's always good to know what these people are up to.
And are they a good read?
I can't quite promise that, Hugh, but they're certainly interesting and they affect you and I.
I know that you're a great enthusiast for it, James. Thank you very much for coming in. See you again this time next week.
Yes, indeed.
Last week we asked you whether you knew what snicker sneeze meant. This week, in What You Say, Dan Kemper's been out on the streets of Hull and Grimsby to find out if you know the meaning of another local phrase.
That's the rear entrance to your house.
Going down the yard, going down your passageway sort of thing.
10 foot, that's at back of your house, where your garage is usually. Back at 10 foot, it's like an alleyway, well, kind of an alleyway. It's in between the garages usually. We used to play football.
Back alley.
Back lane, ginnel, maybe not so much a ginnel. A ginnel is more a path.
If you're going down the alley, the back alley.
That's a passage at the back of the houses that we call up north. Otherwise, it's a ginnel or something like that.
Well, a 10 foot is on the back of your terrace house, isn't it? So you're walking down the 10 foot.
What it is, it's a passageway at the end where you can park your car.
10 foot is like an alley, an alleyway.
I know what it means. Down a close. Down a close.
Just alley or, well, snicket's another word. That's a West Yorkshire word, snicket.
You're going down an alley. You're going down
and between houses.
Stick it?
Yeah,
Oh.
a passage, innit?
Well, yeah, well, it's the alley. Where I come from, it's the alley.
Going down back of your house, have a game of football, something like that.
10 foot. Yeah, well, in Grimsby we used to have what we call 8 foots. Little passage between houses.
I could never understand 10 foot. It's about 4 foot wide. How do they call it a 10 foot?
I don't know, mate. You have to tell us. Go on.
That was far too easy. Next week we'll try to make it a little bit harder. Now, here's the sport with Dan Kemp.
New Hull Kingston Rovers signings Albert Kelly and Maurice Blair will fly into the UK on Friday after having their visa applications accepted. The duo have signed 2-year deals for the Robins from the NRL's Gold Coast Titans. And in another line of KR news, winger Kieran Dixon is hoping his form next year will catch the eye of England national team coach Steve McNamara. Having been on the periphery previously and having missed out on selection for the 2014 Four Nations, Dixon is hoping his form will get noticed this time around. Hull City are through to the next stage of the FA Youth Cup. The side were 2 down against Brentford, but a Will Annan hat-trick, including an extra-time winner, has paved the way to round 4 for the Young Tigers. They will be hoping to follow in the path of the senior side, who made the final last year and are drawn to play Arsenal again in the 3rd round in January. Scunthorpe United's potential 3rd round opponents Chesterfield will attend a personal hearing on Monday to respond to allegedly fielding an illegible player in their 2nd round win over the MK Dons. It is alleged that George Margreiter, on loan from Wolves to the South Yorkshire club, did not have the necessary written permission to participate in the game. The Iron, on the other hand, must compete through a replay against Worcester City next Tuesday to face the Spireites. And finally, in equestrian, Holly Woodhead from Grimsby and Louth rider Ros Cantor have booked their place as part of the Elite World Class Development Scheme. They're just 2 of the 49 that have been chosen to be part of the UK Sport National Lottery Initiative, and as a result, the next 2 years they'll both get top support, coaching and nutrition. And that's all for the sport.
Thank you, Dan. Contact us in the usual ways. Please email news@estuary.tv or contact us through the social media via Twitter or Facebook, or pick up the phone and call 01472 31 55553. But for now, good evening.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. It's wintry showers at first on Thursday with sunny spells. Winds will tend to ease though through the day, maximum temperature of 6 degrees. Heavy rain with hill snow clearing Friday morning, then wintry showers later, with maximum temperatures of 5 degrees.